Hello, everyone. I'm Lilah Haxton. I'm from the Capitol-Beltway Postcard Club, and I'm here to talk about how to design a postcard from idea to mailbox for the National Postcard Week. For those that don't know, the National Postcard Week was started in 1984 and is celebrated the first week of May. It's an event to encourage the exchange of commemorative postcards. So there's a website that you can go to get more information. But part of the National Postcard Week is that when you participate, you would print your own commemorative postcard that you would exchange with other people that are participating. So this webinar is to give you some ideas of how to create your own postcard because I know some of you can find it very daunting. I know I did. And this is the postcard here is the first postcard I ever designed. The first year I participated in National Postcard Week was in 2024. This is a picture of my father's telescope, which my sister and I had donated to a astronomy club in West Virginia, and I kind of wanted to celebrate that. That was important to my family. It's a very basic postcard. I didn't know a lot when I was first starting out. And the reason I got involved with the National Postcard Week was because I'm a post crosser, and postcrossing.com is a website that provides addresses where you can exchange postcards worldwide. And as part of the website, there's a forum where you can host meetups and people locally, you can post a meetup. And so the person, Damaris, the picture woman pictured on the postcard, she hosted a meetup at the York Postcard Show in Pennsylvania. And I went one year to meet up with other post crossers. And Damaris at the time was the organizer of the National Postcard Week, and she always promoted National Postcard Week at her meetups. And she is sort of an icon in the postcard world, especially in the United States. And she would go to postcard shows throughout the United States. So she really championed National Postcard Week. So I didn't do it in 2022. My first year was 2024, partly because it was so daunting. I didn't know how to make a postcard. So one of the hardest parts of designing a postcard is picking the theme. And my recommendation is you want to highlight your local culture. A lot of people print postcards with postal themes like stamps, mailboxes, mail carriers. Other people like to highlight their hobbies, their pets, their animals, or even there are a lot of original artists that do their own postcards as well. I don't fall into that original artist category, so I have to use some digital tools to create my postcards. But these are some examples of some of the postcards that I created. The postcard on the right is for World Postcard Day. This is big in the post crossing world, but World Postcard Day is October 1st. And so there is a free postcard you can download for World Postcard Day, but a lot of people make their own postcards. So I jumped in and did it. And I used some AI to help me with the artwork. And then I went into Canva and I was able to bring in the logo. So the World Postcard Day is a logo that's provided by Postcard Day that's free, and you can use it to make your own postcards. And then on the left is a postcard that I designed for a post crossing meetup at a postcard show in Maryland. And I was highlighting the release of the Appalachian Trail stamps, which featured a stamp from Maryland. About 40 miles of the Appalachian Trail goes through Maryland. And so I wanted to highlight that at my meetup. And so I used AI to help do the artwork. I knew I wanted a trail. I knew I wanted black bears because black bears were prominent in the part of the R trail, R section of the trail. And I used Canva to bring in some clip art that wouldn't sign as clip art, and then the post crossing logo. So to add that and some text. So here's a couple other postcards that I do. Here's one on the left is from York, Pennsylvania. I did take over the post crossing meetup after Damaris passed away. And I picked a fall theme because the meetup is in the fall. It's in November, the weekend before Thanksgiving. I have a black cat, so Howie. So I was highlighting my black cat. My sister's a redhead, so that was kind of those components. I use those components to help design the background. And if you see the little bird on the mailbox, added in the mailbox, of course. And if you see the bird on the mailbox, that's an Oriole, which is for Maryland. I'm from Maryland, so the Baltimore Oriole is the state bird, and obviously our baseball team. So some of, oh, and then the other postcard is of the panda bear is one that we use for a meetup at the NAPEX stamp show, along with the Capitol-Beltway Postcard Club, which hosted the post crossing meetup. I picked a panda because I wanted to celebrate the return of pandas to the National Zoo. And I included some icons that are familiar to Washington, D.C., the Washington Monument, obviously the U.S. Capitol, and obviously I love stamps. I love postcards for, just to highlight the stamp show. So to generate ideas and themes, I use ChatGPT, and I have some slides. I'm starting out with some slides, and then I'll do a demonstration. But ChatGPT kind of gives me some text or some language for an idea. So when you use AI to generate artwork, the more that you can describe the product that you want or the artwork that you want, the better image that it's going to generate you. So using ChatGPT helps provide the text that you need to help input that information into AI to generate the artwork. And so I use Ideogram to generate my artwork using the prompts that I get from ChatGPT. And I have the website there for the Ideogram. And then since AI doesn't do well with text, I just do all the text that we need to add. I add that in canva.com. So I would download the art image, I would bring it up in Canva and then add the text. And so for the National Postcard Week, one of the requirements of the postcard is that you need to add National Postcard Week and the date May 3rd through 9th, 2026. So this is a way that you can add the date, the title and the date to your postcard. And I also use clip art and it's also the way I can use add logos as well. So this is just some screenshots of how I used ChatGPT to brainstorm some ideas. So on the right, I had, what are some good postcard ideas for St. Bernard's and spring flowers? I picked spring flowers because National Postcard Week is the first week of May. So I was trying to go for a spring seasonal theme. And I picked St. Bernard dogs because I had 4 St. Bernard dogs growing up. So they got a special place in my heart. And so these were it generated, I think, like 20 ideas. And I just have a couple screenshots here of some of the ideas that it generated or ChatGPT generated for me. Some of them did about seasonal joy, but it didn't have the dog in there, so I didn't like those as much. And then at the bottom, 15, 16, and 17, they had 3 ideas with a St. Bernard dog. So I decided to go with number 17, Rainy Day Rescue, St. Bernard with a barrel-shaped umbrella helping kids in puddles. And so I took that and asked to give me more ideas based on that concept. And so it gave me, I think, about 10 ideas. I've only highlighted about 3 here. And so it kind of the postcard style, it had look, design, some text, and some bonus information. So the last 2 bullets, because it deals with text, you're not going to input that into the chat GPT or the ideogram, I'm sorry, because it doesn't deal well with text. That would be something you would take and you would use when you use Canva. So if I was going to use this information for ideogram, I would use the style. I would take the postcard style recommendation and the look and the design, and I would kind of cut and paste that information into ideogram to get the postcard. So they had a vintage style recommendation, a cartoon whimsical style, and a minimalist modern illustration style. I went with the cartoon whimsical style, just because that's what most people like, or in post processors, people like the illustrated, kind of cute, happy, friendly type postcards. So that was one of the reasons that I picked that concept over some of the others. But you pick what meets your personality. So I put the first 2 lines into Ideogram, and this is the 4 images that it generated. So the 2 black and white ones, so it always generates 4 images based on your input. The 2 images on the right weren't very useful because they're black and white, and I wanted a more colorful postcard that would stand out. And so my 2 favorites were on the left. The one on the bottom I didn't like as much. It was a little more pastelish in coloring, and I didn't like the kids and the puddles and the arrangement. It looked a little bit odd, but I did like the one on the top. So that's the one I picked. And when you do a generation, you can do what they call a remix or a second generation of the image to see what if they can refine the image to be a little bit more to your liking. So that's what I was going to do. So what they do, they'll generate an image, and then, like I talked about before, is the image is generated about based on a prompt. And so the prompt is what I inputted in. And this is what I inputted. And then that was the prompt that was used to generate the image, the 4 images that you saw on the previous slide. And then they have what they call a magic prompt. It's a prompt to describe what they posted. So that magic prompt has a little more detail and describes what's in the picture, like a cheerful dog, happy kids, and that kind of thing. And you can use that magic prompt or the regular prompt to generate additional images. And you can edit the prompt if there was something you didn't like cotton candy clouds or something. I could delete that and then do a new generation to see what kind of picture it would generate. So I did a remix using a new prompt, and this is what I got. I like this picture a lot better. There are fewer kids. I like that some of the raindrops look like hearts, and they're happier kids. Uh, and I like the colors, and it was just something that appealed to me. So this would have probably been one of the images that I chose to move forward with. And you can do a lot of iterations. It's pretty fast. When I do a demonstration, you'll see how fast it can be. You can do a lot of iterations of a design to get something that you like. You can also just like scrap a design and try something else if it's not looking like it will work. But you want like a rectangle, an image that will fill a postcard. You want color, something to catch people's eyes. And you also got to think about adding text. You're going to add National Postcard Week to this and where you might add it. You want an image that fills the entire triangle versus just like one small image in the center and that kind of thing. And so once the image is finished, you can download it, and then I import it into Canva, canva.com, so I can update the picture side of the postcard. This is where I use the Canva tools to add text. I add a logo. So like for my postcard, post crossing cards, I add the post crossing logo. If it's a card I'm making sponsored by the club, I would add the club logo, or the stamp show, I'd add the stamp show logo. So this is where you can add all that. And then I can design a back of a postcard, because there's not much graphics on the back of a postcard. It's usually just text. It's something I do in Canva. I would recommend that you print the postcards in early April. I personally use Vistaprint to print my cards. I'm very pleased with them. I would give it about 2 weeks to print. They're not speedy. I've used Staple to print Staples, like the local Staples store, to print postcards. They're probably the fastest, but you don't have a choice on paper. So but they are good in a pinch. I know a lot of people that use MOO, to print their postcards. So there are different types of printers. Our club has used a private printer, and as well as Vistaprint. So there are a lot of places that you could print your postcards. The trick that it's just important to leave adequate time for the postcards to be printed and be mailed to you. And I just want to thank you. These are my last two postcards I wanted to show. The Pink Flamingo is from the Baltimore Stamp Show Ball Packs. I used the Pink Flamingo was my theme in the airport, because the stamp show was at the BWI Airport Hotel. And the Pink Flamingo is sort of like the unofficial mascot of Baltimore because of the John Waters connection, his John Waters movies. And it was at an airport, so I did the airplane, and I called it the Beehive Flamingo because John Waters wrote the musical Hairspray about the beehive hairdos, the elaborate updos that Baltimore is associated with. So I used clip art to add the beehive hairdo back on the back part of the plane. And then I also used clip art. I think there were planes parked in front of these hangars. And so I had clip art of a mail truck. And so I added the mail trucks here to cover up the post office, to cover up the airplanes. And here's one of my latest post crossing meetup postcards. I used telescope. My dad was an astronomer, so I just wanted to do a space related postcard. And so I uploaded a photo of the telescope, and this is sort of a cartoon version of the telescope, and a redhead for my sister who's really into astronomy as well. So that is the slideshow. So now I'm going to try to do a live demonstration. And this is canva.com, or no, chatgpt.com. And I type in a prompt, recommend postcard ideas for spring flowers and boxes. And so it gives me a list of ideas. So here's number 13. I'll probably pick this one. Fox delivering mail through flowers, a nod to post-crossing. Fox weaving through spring flowers with postcards. That might be a good one because it's postal related. So then I'll go down here and say, recommend postcard ideas for box delivering mail through flowers. So here it comes up with some different types of recommendations. This didn't give me the, okay, so fox weaving through tall tulips, a canvas mailbox bouncing at its side with postcards peeking out. So I'll probably use that. I'm gonna cut and paste that. And I'm going to go Canva. Hold on. So in Canva, oop, no, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go to Ideogram. So this is something I did previously, but you add the information that you want here. So I want an so an illustration of a fox trotting with the mailbox. I'm gonna say smiling fox with the mailbox, I'm sorry. Weaving through tall tulips, a canvas mailbox bouncing at its side with postcards peeking out. Now, the reason I use Ideogram is that they have permission for the artwork that the program learns from. So I like that aspect of this particular program. But because of that, you're not going to see anything that's licensed. Like you won't see Mickey Mouse or anything like that. So, but I do like it because it's not not that. And so it's generating four ideas down here on the right corner. So let's see if we like any of them. This one's okay. I don't know what I think about that box, but I like the canvas bag in the mail. This one, the mail's a little, I don't know about the fox too, but the canvas bag is a little off. And then again, this, I don't know about the fox, but very similar to the first one. And then there's this one. So I don't know if I really like any of them, but what you can do is do a remix. So this is probably the one I like the best. And then you can look at the prompt. So this is the prompt that I put in. And then you can also look at um, when you scroll down, you can have the magic prompt and I can generate a new image from this prompt. And I'm going to read it. A whimsical illustration of a cheerful orange fox mid-trot, grinning widely. So I might say smiling. See if that makes any difference. As it weaves gracefully between towering tulips in a vibrant garden. A fox carries a cream-colored canvas mailbag. Maybe I'll do blue. See if it. Sometimes these changes come, sometimes they don't. So I'll put blue. Colored canvas mailbox that bounces rhythmically at its side with colorful postcards and letters peeking out from the opening, suggesting deliveries in progress. So we'll see what this generates, see if there's anything I like better. So this one's looking a little more friendly. Might be a little overload on the tulips, but I like it better. He's jumping, look better. I don't know if I like that one as much. I don't know why. I don't like the, looks more like a cat. And yeah, that one I don't like the mailbox around it or the mailbag around its neck. So this one would probably be my favorite. Or we could try a remix of this one. Let's see. Yeah, these don't get much better. So what I would do here, we could go back and try some of the other ideas. I don't know. Here's one about it's probably the fox I don't like, but try a mailbox in the meadow. Doo-doo. So I'm clearing the slate here, and I'm gonna put the new wording here. I just kind of did a simple edits to add a make it into a sentence, and then these characters down here with the round oval, 16 by 9 is the size, so that it's a rectangle. You want to select that. So like you have all these different sizes. 6 by 9 is the closest to 6 by 4. And then you can pick style characters from other things that you use. And then color, you could kind of pick your color palette if you want. So let me hit generate. And see if these are any better. So it's pretty easy to play around with it. You'll learn how to do the wording and stuff as time goes. Uh, but I'm starting to like the mailbox theme better. Although I think there's a little bit too much blank space over here. That one's a cute one. That one's good too. Don't know, it's between these two. If I did it for timing, I won't do it. But if I did another round, I would probably say a fox dressed in a male uniform or something like that to see if it looked even cuter. I think I'll go with this. So this is the one I like. And usually like when I like one, I'll do several generations, but if I like it, I mark it with the heart just so because if you do like 10, 20 generations, it's hard to remember which ones you liked. And so I just do a heart. It doesn't mean I won't pick that one, but it's a record keeping thing for me. So this one I like. So what I would do is I hit upscale, which makes it uh, just a little bit sharper. So when you're printing, it kind of ups the resolution for you. And then I will download it. No, it does have an opening canvas. I don't use that because um I like to open the box, the 4x6 box for postcard size, and it just opens the image really large. So I have a harder time manipulating the image if I open it open it through Ideogram. So I go into Canva and then just kind of bring it up myself. So here I would do create a new design. I do custom size. Now it picks one. I've already do this a lot, so the 6 by 4 inches shows up down here for me. But here, if you were doing it manually, you go here, you hit inches, and you do 6 by 4. Now that's the standard postcard size. You can do it bigger, um, just whatever size that you're going to print your postcard. You put the dimensions in here and create a new design. And so this is going to be your canvas area that you need to fill with your image. And so what I'll need to do is upload the picture into Canva. So I'm doing that now. And so bring that image over here, and then you just kind of make it larger to fill the postcard area. Now, now I'll use the text feature to add text. Because of this, it's a full picture background. Sometimes to highlight the text, you might want to have a box behind the image to, like, I'll show you. Like if you just put text here, uh, so you put National Postcard Week, May 3rd through 9, 2026. And you can move it, like if you see this cross here, this is a way to move it. Uh, Sometimes it's hard to see with the picture in the background, and you can pick the different colors. So here you can pick the different types of uh, fonts. So I like picking a chunkier one that it shows. And you can also pick the color. And what I like about Canva, this is black right now, but it will pick if you look under photo colors, it will pick the colors in your image. So you might want to use the rust color and see how that looks. So see how it's kind of hard to see. So sometimes adding a rectangle behind it will help highlight it. So I'll add a rectangle. Oops. And you can also pick a color. I don't know which one would be probably this lighter. Oops. And so like when you put National Postcard Week, it just shows up a little bit better. Now I wouldn't, because the way printing works, I wouldn't put it that close to the edge. So it might be better just at the bottom. And you can save it. I don't know if it's looking. Oh yeah, National Postcard Week. Okay. So that's what I would do. You can I have like other things like my logos just to show you. These would be things like I uploaded. So here's the hairdo that I showed you on one of my other cards. I have bees, like if I wanted to add a bee. Here's a mail truck if I wanted to add a mail truck. I don't know any of these. Like if I wanted to add the Oriole bird, like add the Oriole bird to the tree as my little Easter egg, something they can look for and put it in the tree. So that's what you can do there. And then if you want to do a back, um, go create custom 6x4. And then this is the back of the postcard. Usually you would have a line in the center. Uh, can sometimes, right, oops. Yeah, so the lines start showing up so you can know how to line it up. Oops. How to line in the center. Sometimes people put a stamp area over there. So I usually put an image, but so you could do like a square. You have to play with it for the sizing. And sometimes you might need to print it out and figure out the sizing and the placement. I'm still trying to learn the placement. I might keep it. Don't know. There's a way to do the line. I don't remember how to do that, but so you could do a box for the stamp. You could add more text here if you wanted to, like instead of if you don't want to write 200 or 100 postcards, if you want to know what you're going to write for the back of the postcard, you can put it here. If you want to add some text up here, like like you would see with a normal postcard, describing what's on the front. It's a fox delivering the mail. You can do that. The other thing is I went to Etsy and I had a whole bunch of like the word postcard images. So sometimes I'll use those. So make it a little bit shorter. And then a lot of I don't know why it's connected. So let me make this shorter. I can add the word postcard. So that was, and obviously when you want to save that, And these images you can download and then have them either to send to the printer. So that's how I design my postcards. So, oops.
Oh, that was very informative. Thank you, Lilah. Very nice. So if you have any question for Lilah, contact the Capitol-Beltway Postcard Club and we'll get there.
Yeah. So I hope you experiment, give yourself some time. These programs are free. I think with the Ideogram, it is free, but they do limit. I paid money because I use it all the time, but it is free, but they do like limit your generations to like 4 or 5 a day. So you might want to start early to give yourself some time, like do your 4 images one day, and then you can go back and continue to regenerate your images. But you can play around with it. You'll start to learn like how to write your images to get the pictures that you want. It's if you're a good writer, this will be easy for you. That's why I use ChatGPT to help me generate some ideas for me and some wording and some text to get some images that I know will be compelling for our club's use. So I really enjoy it. It's a way I can get very creative postcards without being a professional artist. So I really think you'll enjoy it if you're patient and take time to play around with it.
All right. Thank you very much, Lilah.
Thank you.